All right, we're live. Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us, whoever's watching now and whoever's going to join us later after we're done recording. I'm super happy today. I have two guests here that are amazing and I know are going to help us, have a real nice talk about, post graduation careers and lifestyles in vet med. We have our regular crew like Chris Tremblay. Always, he's a veteran operations professional and um, very, very helpful, in our technical side and marketing this whole thing. We have Dr. Williamson Treaty. He's a veterinarian and clinic owner and a writer. I think that's pretty much what I think he does best, out of what I
Thanks.
know. But I should spend a day at the clinic with him one day, and
No, you'd still think I was a better writer.
I don't know. I don't know. I have to see it. I have to see it. It's hard to pick which one, And then we have Sammy Morrissey. She's another veterinarian and founder of the Good Boys Club in Amsterdam, and she's also a writer. And I think you just started Sammy the Vet, right? Or has that been around for a while? Or I just
Yeah,
learned about
that's
it
my
recently?
that's my independent publication. Yeah, my newsletter.
Cool, cool. So you have a website for that?
Yeah, right there. I think
Okay,
it's on the
there you
screen.
go. There you go. All right, thanks, Chris. You see that? That's
He's
we'll
on
have
it.
Chris here. Yeah, man, awesome. Uh, Greg couldn't be here. I think, and Dave, they're handling some things. So we're gonna miss him today. But super happy to have Dr. Megan Sprinkle and Dr. Quincy Hawley. Dr. Megan Sprinkle has her Vet Life Reimagined podcast, and she's pretty much been with FlareVet from the beginning, helping us, figure this out. Her expertise in podcasting and combined with vet medicine is really great. And I also sometimes get some advice on nutrition from her. So once in a while, we pick her brain, and that's a extra bonus. Um, so again, it's a Vet Life Reimagined. You can find that probably in any platform, right, Megan?
Pretty
So
much.
just
Yep.
whatever platform you like. If you're not an Apple person, then Spotify or whatever. Just you should find it there. And then Dr. Hawley, I just started learning about you. I know you. I've seen a lot of this is from LinkedIn that we grab like guests and content, and I've seen your content for a while, and I think like we have a very similar perspective in life. All of us in this group, I think, we tend to focus on mental health and well-being, and we can all be veterinarians and work hard, but also have a good life, right? That feeling of like I have to suffer to be a vet. We need to stop that. There's a we're gonna talk about more about that. I think it might start a little bit in vet school, and that's why we also have Carly Clark here. She's a veterinary student at the Oklahoma State University. We just met with the VBMA group there and had a talk on, just like a little chat about different options in life as a veterinarian. And I think that's a good segue to our talk today. So um, we probably should get started. I since I don't know Dr. Hawley too well, I kind of want to start it with you. I know you've been a veterinarian, what, like 6 years, 7 years at least.
It feels like a lot longer than that, man.
Okay,
I
okay,
graduated from NC State's vet school in 2013. So what's
2013.
that,
So
like 12
12,
years?
12.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah.
12
For
years,
some reason,
man.
my math is not mathing, but
It's just my young
what
looks, man. That's all it is.
that's gotta
Yeah.
be it. I think all of us in this call are look maybe 30 years younger than we are. Um,
For sure,
but
man. But
so but like I feel like after reading your stuff, I feel like we have similar paths, and we can talk more about that. But like I know we probably both went through like some hardships, and it inspired you in creating the Get Motivated program. And can you talk to us a little bit more about like specifics that triggered that? Because I don't think you graduated vet school thinking one day I'm going to be talking to people about wellness and mental health and surviving in vet med. So what
yeah.
triggered that? I'm just curious.
Yeah, I definitely wasn't thinking about well-being, burnout, mental health when I first graduated from veterinary school. But when I graduated in 2013, I went to work for a really, 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 really busy practice. It was general practice. I was seeing about 25 to 35 cases a day as a new grad. And on
Jeez.
my surgery days, I was doing like 5 to 15 anesthetic procedures, and
Damn.
I would literally, I'll always make the joke that my practice looked like a clipboard making factory. Like when you would first walk in, all the charts that would be lined up on the counter of the people who were already there were just like, it was like tons of clipboards. And so, long story short, man, we would stay like an hour, 2 hours, sometimes 3 hours late, just about every single day. My wife, she's a veterinarian. She also worked at that same practice, but it was the same story for all of us basically. And I was good with the clients, I was good with the cases, but I didn't have the tools, the tactics, the strategies, the resources, the principles, and the things like that to be able to thrive in a really busy environment like that. So I would literally leave work. I would go to the first gas station I would see on the way home. I'd get an alcoholic beverage. I'd pour it in a cup, and I would drink and drive on the way home. And then when I got home, there was another car there, had alcohol in the trunk. I would take a couple of shots before I would go into the house to face my wife and my 1-year-old daughter at the time. I had 7 crazy dogs too.
Mm.
And before I knew it, man, the days had turned to weeks, weeks had turned to months, and the months had turned to about 2.5 years of living that way. And luckily for me, it was like the day after the 2016 presidential election. It had nothing to do with the results, but something came over me. I was like, dude, you're professional. You're really passionate about vet med, but it it feels so bad right now, and I just took a journey in that moment to like spend every second, minute, hour, day, week, month, and year of the rest of my life working towards the best life possible. And I discovered a lot of different things, and they worked, right? They worked, and I wanted
I,
to share those with the rest of the profession, basically.
when do you realize that other vets could have been going through the same? Because I feel like for my own case, I blame myself for a lot of it. I said, well, maybe I'm not strong enough. Maybe I haven't
Mm,
learned enough. Maybe it's me.
right,
Like
right.
and sometimes like when things went wrong, again, me. And like at what point you were like, man, I'm not the only one. There must be other people feeling this way.
Yeah, yeah. I think it was as I started to make my transformation, really, because to your point, when you're going through it, you don't really know. And back in 2013 to 2016, the talk about well-being and burnout, it wasn't that big. There were a few people out there. Vet schools were probably starting to talk about it a lot, but for the most part, you had to discover that stuff on your own. And so, uh, I knew other veterinary professionals who were struggling, right? I could see it on my team members' faces. I could see it
Mm-hmm.
on the other 6 doctors that I worked with. I could see it in the toxicity within the hospitals and things like that. And then
And
as you start to go to the,
some people hide it better than others, right? You notice like, hey,
I mean,
you don't look happy. You're hiding it, dude.
I was hiding it really well. Like I was putting on the
Uh-huh.
facade of someone who was
Uh-huh.
doing great, and it shocked a lot of people. It shocked my wife even, and I think that as I started to go to the different conferences, I would see different people like Marie Holloway talking about it, Betsy Charles, different people in the profession. Um, and then I was like, okay, this is a big thing. I've kind of figured out some of the things that actually work. And I really wanted to share that with everyone else, different motivational speakers that helped me. And I was like, I want to help other people like those speakers help me basically. So.
That's what we're doing here. I totally understand that sentiment. I think we all do, right? Like that is why we started doing this podcast.
I love that, man.
And for me, when you mentioned your wife, that was the person that told me, like, dude, you're not yourself, dude. Like something's wrong. And finally, I was like, wait, let me see. Okay, I think you're right. I'm trying to tough this out, and it's showing externally that I'm trying so hard, and there's still rays of bad going through. And the people that love you, the people that really care about you, are the ones that might identify that. So like it's good to listen to your family and your friends, and even if you feel like you're okay, you might not be, and it shows, you know.
That's right. That's right. And I think that a big part of it for me and why I'm so passionate about burnout and well-being and mental health is that burnout it has no boundaries, right? Like if you're burnt out at work, it's going to cross over into your personal life, in your family life at home. My wife and I were this close, dude, to calling it quits. I thought it
Mm-hmm.
was her, she thought it was me.
Yeah.
And luckily she stayed with me like through that struggle of the alcohol. Like you think alcohol will make it better, right? And maybe
In the
temporarily,
moment,
but
in the
in the
moment,
moment,
maybe. Yeah,
but
yeah. But
it just makes things like that much worse, honestly, you know.
in the long run, I think it does. Like it's almost like survival mode for too long. Eventually, you cannot be in survival mode forever, right? Like you need to
Oh man,
snap out
yeah.
of survival mode and take care of yourself. And
Well, it's
you know,
short-term
and
survival mode, right? Like
yes,
short-term survival mode is not long-term survival mode.
It's not long-term survival mode, man.
hundred
100%,
percent.
100%. Yeah.
So along those lines, I love Megan's podcast because you get to see so many different ways to be a vet, right? Because you know, when I graduated, I was like, well, I shadowed another vet. I'm pretty much gonna be doing that too, right? And it's like, well, here's the last generation, and this is the new generation. We keep doing the same thing. But I've seen so many people have so many different careers and you know different things that actually have helped them have a more sustainable career because they picked what was right for them. Can you talk to that point, Megan, a little more, like what you've noticed with your guests, where how choosing the right path turns into a better quality of life?
Yeah, and a couple of points on that. First of all, I want to acknowledge that, burnout can happen no matter where you are in vet med. So really understanding your personal values and what works for you is super important than just jumping into something different. Because if you don't figure out, back to the short term versus long term, if you don't start figuring out what's the problem, you're going to bring your problems with you. So just acknowledge that. But these are the type of stories that encouraged me to start the podcast. So, I started this 3.5 years ago during the middle of the pandemic. And so a lot of burnout was really, really strong and prevalent. And people saw me on LinkedIn with a non-traditional career path, and they would reach out, and they felt burnt out. They also didn't realize or feel like there was another alternative. They felt like they were trapped. I heard that quite a few times. And
Mm-hmm.
so I knew that there had to be a lot more options out there. I was already kind of a positive thinker. Again, I was already on a more non-traditional career path, but I took the opportunity to really bring that to life and bring these individuals and their stories up to share with everyone. Because also, I think a big important part of what we're talking about right now is the ability to speak to our challenges and understand that we're not alone, because feeling alone is one of the worst feelings that you can have. And so making sure that we are encouraging people to communicate in safe, important ways, I think is super important. So that's one of my favorite pieces of feedback on the podcast, is that at the end of every episode, they feel like they aren't alone in this. And so that's kind of a big part of why I keep going with the podcast.
Don't you think that that for veterinarians, and you guys can elaborate on this, but I feel like that need for perfection starts at vet school, and that need to be the like I need to pass, I need to be good, I need to, there's a lot of pressure on that. What do you think, Bill?
I think it's more than I think vet school has a really bad habit of asking more than they have a right to ask. And they need commitment, and they need diligence, and they need hard work, and they need all these things. They don't um get to own your time for 18 hours a day. They don't get to own how you feel about a certain rotation. Like maybe you don't like goats. You can still be competent on that rotation. I don't think your enthusiasm for goats should like affect your rotation. Your the your performance on that rotation. I think um and that was, more apparent at St. George's than it was when I did clinical rotations at Illinois, but there was still some of that at Illinois too. And I don't know if that was anyone else's experience or if it is the soon-to-be Dr. Clark's experience in vet school now. But I think, they want cheerful martyrs for some of these things. It's like, nope, I don't want to just be a veterinarian. Like, I want to be a veterinarian, but I don't want to have to die to do it.
Right.
Yeah, I feel like the perfectionism starts before vet school because at least in our generation, like when I was applying to vet school, there were like 28 vet schools that you could get to. The acceptance rate was so low and you had to be damn near perfect to get in. I think when I applied to UPenn, you needed 2,000 hours of animal experience in the specific species that you had intended to work with on top of everything else. And yeah, and in teaching you and in narrowing sort of access to veterinary education, you had to be perfect to
If
get
that's
in.
true, I know a
And
lot of Penn grads who lied about that.
oh yeah, I'm sure they did, because how can you get that? That's also an access to opportunity question. You
Yeah.
have to be in a position where you're privileged enough to be able to work for free effectively and volunteer in the species to even get into that school.
For
But I think
years.
the perfectionism journey, yeah, starts earlier than that. And it's just
So you
incubated
think-
in vet school.
Sammy, you think that's part of the like feeling trapped that Megan talked about, like where you're already on a certain path and it's almost like, well, I'm on the path already, I have to keep going and there's no stopping or escaping,
Yeah, you're on the path already. And then when you become a vet, you say, I worked so hard to get here. It feels so bad though. But I invested so much. Where can I go? How could I leave? What do I do next?
And
It shouldn't feel this bad.
It's worth
Mhm.
noting that I think some of it, and I mean, Sammy and I have talked about intensity before, and Dr. Hawley, you mentioned like what you were doing, like the intensity of your clinical practice was like way higher than anyone would consider sustainable. But I think that goes back to like if you overdo it, even good stuff becomes bad stuff, right? Like I love my job and I love practicing medicine. Like I really love what I do. If I was doing it 80 hours a week, I'd be a really unhappy guy. Right. Like, and I think it's, even if it's important to notice, it's not just the what, but the how much.
Yeah, very true, very true. And a big part of it for me is the one regret that I have about vet school and about that first practice that I worked at is that I wasn't prepared for the mental, emotional, and somewhat physical exhaustion that could come with it. And I kind of make the comparison to like that show that comes on to the Discovery Channel, Naked and Afraid, right? You basically have two people, they go out into the woods with no clothes and no supplies, and they have a horrible time because they're going into a provocative environment, completely unprepared. They don't have any of the things. And so I don't even think like, okay, so going into that really busy practice, it burned me out, but mostly because I didn't have the tools and the strategies to be able to look at it in a growth mindset type of way, if you will, because it's kind of in hindsight, it's been very beneficial. I did so many cool surgeries. I'm able to go into busy environments now and they don't shake me at all because I'm so used to having something else. And so, I would almost, my wife says the same thing. I would almost rather start out somewhere like that. But the only thing I think would have been so cool if my owner sat me down and the practice manager sat me down in the interview and said, hey, Dr. Hawley, this place is really busy. You're going to see a lot of cases. You're going to learn a lot and you're going to grow a lot. And we're going to provide you with these tools and strategies and tactics and this mental health support and things like that.
Yep.
And you let us know if it's becoming too much. But no one has the conversations and discussions like that. And so you go in
Well, not 10 years ago, they didn't.
just not knowing, like, and things like that. So, because
it's really
I
more.
appreciate that busyness, and that's what I kind of started like this preparedness program, right? It's like, how do you prevent yourself from getting burnout? How do you thrive despite challenges? If you find yourself in a really busy place, how do you still have personal and professional well-being, right?
Mm,
And how do you set boundaries so that if it gets too bad, that you have the confidence and the empowerment to say, you know what, my self-worth is greater than what I'm experiencing. If they can't make adjustments, then I'm not aligned for this place, and that's fine. I can go find another place. You know what I
Hmm.
mean?
that's such a good point. It's not actually the amount of work or the intensity of
Hmm.
the work, it's the relationship you have with that work. And you can still have a healthy relationship with work and work a ton of hours. But if you have good self worth and you're able to set boundaries and you feel good about yourself and you're grounded and you know that work isn't your whole life and you don't
Hmm.
identify with it so highly and you don't need it to justify your own existence in the world, it's a much more pleasant experience and the likelihood that you're going to burn out is much less.
Yeah, because you have the awareness, right, of
Totally.
the possibility of burnout. And someone said it the other day that at a speaking engagement I was doing in Atlanta, they said um, a tough experience doesn't have to be a bad or miserable experience, right? Like tough doesn't have to equal bad.
Totally.
And I think that's where the backup and the mentorship and the, the person that should know better about what the new grad is about to go through is the one that should be reaching out and saying, hey, listen, this is going to happen. This is how you deal with it, or I'm available for you anytime you need to. And hearing those words really helps
Hmm.
make them more approachable. Like I keep saying this quote, but my first mentor said, I've made pretty much every mistake in BedMed. I'm here to help you make less of them or none at all, or if you do make them, help you through them.
Yeah.
And I remember that from my interview when he said that, and that pretty much sold the job for me because I was like, okay, well, I have good backup here. I think I feel less scared. Like Carly, what do you think? Like when you're done vet school's pretty, controlled environment, pretty like I felt backed up. Other than having to study and all that and pass tests, but like I felt like it was pretty safe and controlled. Maybe at clinics not so much because I did go to Penn for clinics, so it's a whole other conversation. But once you're done vet school, like what kind of support would you like in terms of like, you know, being available or giving you some backup? Like what in your ideal world, once you graduate, let's say you go into private practice, what are you expecting from us?
It's interesting because I think the answer we're always wanting to hear, or veterinarians that are hiring are always wanting to hear is, oh, we provide mentorship, and that's great. But I think the issue we're seeing is if me as a new graduate veterinarian, if I do not have the same shared values as my team, the things I'm wanting out of my career, or the way we interact with clients, or the way we treat patients, no matter how great or poor that mentorship is, if I don't feel like I can contribute to the team, if I don't feel safe in sharing my thoughts with the technicians or my mentors, no matter how good I am at medicine or how much great advice I'm going to get, maybe I'm going to start sowing some seeds of resentment, or start saying, was this career right for me? As a student who's really interested in leadership and getting all these training opportunities and getting to see of how do you work with different team members, how do you share your opinions as a new grad, it's great. And my university really stresses the importance of being able to day one go work with any team. But for someone who's a people pleaser like me, and that's something I've really been working on, I go into a summer job and I work there, or maybe I'm going into a rotation and I'm trying my best, but there's that disconnect. So I think, to answer your question more directly, I would encourage all students, whatever you want to do, maybe in your fourth year or earlier, spend time with the team and see, do I have, no matter how great the medicine is, will my values align with these team members? And if that's the case, then we can talk about mentorship and other things like that. And that's not something you can see just applying to a job. You're going to have to be there in person and interacting with the team members, and not just on a superficial level, like being there when things get hard and seeing how they respond
Hmm.
to that. So I guess I would see open up opportunities for students to really get time to spend with the team, whether that be externships, um, other things like that. Because if you have people who are either like me, people pleasers, or people who really just are going to do whatever they can to survive paying off student loans at their first job, no matter if that team fits for them, there's going to be some difficulties there as a new grad.
And
I
then
also think I think to that end, like your first job doesn't have to be your last job. It
Mhm.
certainly wasn't for anybody on this call, like not for any veterinarian I know. Um, I I think if you go in and you're like, well, I think my values align, or I don't know if my values align, and in a year or two you decide they don't, like you can leave, right? Like it's okay to move on or grow or change, or the practice changes or you evolve. Like spending the time to get that experience is good. But I mean, I know I wasn't quite as evolved or developed or the recipient of, I hadn't availed myself of mental health professionals when I had just graduated veterinary school, right? Like those things come with
Mhm.
time and those things come with experience. Um, I think that's okay, right? Like you don't have to nail it out of the gate.
the first time, yeah, and
Yeah,
you're
like
never
it's great
stuck.
that
You're never
like
stuck.
it's awesome if you do. Like it certainly helps, but it sounds like Dr. Hawley didn't have a ton of fun at his first practice. I hated my first practice. Learned a lot of medicine, did good medicine, but like that's not somewhere I wanted to be for very long.
Yeah, but
And
I think
that's
that's super
Mhm.
valuable what Carly's saying, right? You want to find a place where you belong. And
Yeah.
if you are in an environment that you don't feel like you belong, it doesn't matter what else is going on there. It's not going to be a pleasant experience for you, and you're not going to, I think, reap the benefits of any other, frills that they have on there.
And that's really refreshing to hear. And I think maybe those are conversations we should have with the vet students. There's so much pressure. If you were uprooting your life to move somewhere far away or back home from out of state in school, there's a lot of pressure to pick the right place. And I've known some students from my school who've graduated and they've told me like, I feel like a failure. Like I don't know. I thought I made the right choice and I didn't. And so maybe if we have those conversations with students, for you all on this podcast coming to speak to VBMA as an example, and just sharing those sentiments and telling students like, hey, this is just something to keep in mind as you go about your new career. Just sharing those thoughts and sharing your experiences in a way that's accessible to other students, whether that's VBMA or doing what you all do here. I think that empowers students knowing, hey, other people have had these experiences and it's going to be okay if I do too.
Dr. Hawley, is any of Get Motivated's work pointed at, directly at students?
So the work itself, not necessarily. I've done a lot of presentations at over 23 of the vet schools at this point.
I saw that.
You
That's
know,
awesome. Yeah.
yeah. So with VBMA, some of the well-being clubs, typically VBMA.
Hmm.
But I want to go back to something that I think that Megan was alluding to earlier when she was mentioning that whether you stay at a certain place or whether you go somewhere else, that there's this like self work that kind of needs to be done. And like, how do you know whether you align with a practice or if you haven't sat down with yourself to actually look at what it is that you value? And when I think back to myself as like an immature, like I was immature coming out of vet school, basically,
Me
Yeah.
I
too.
wasn't,
Yep.
I wasn't, I wasn't, I wasn't
Same.
sitting down doing like introspection exercises and
Journaling.
Right.
idealization and
No, we were looking at anatomy
visualization,
books.
but I should have been, because I think that I could have at least learned some of the personal development and things like that. Because at the end of the day, Carly and everybody else, like listening to this, wherever you go, there you are. And so if you've done like Megan said, and you've kind of done that self work part, then you'll be able to make better decisions about whether to stay, whether to go, and you'll feel
Yeah.
confident whether you stay, whether you go.
That,
You know.
that, that's what I was trying to get at. I think you said it really well. But like, if you don't know at 24 to 26 years old or whatever it is when you graduate vet school, like who you are and what your values are, and like you might, if you haven't done the work, You're like, well, geez, I don't know if they align with my values. It's like, well, what are your values? Well, I don't know. Well, that makes it real hard on the employers. Like,
True. Yep.
like if you don't do that work, and I don't know if
hmm
I know
But
this because
somebody needs to tell you, like, hey, like, and that's on us. Like, that's on the
well,
people that are hiring them.
the
You
schools
know.
are supposed to have mental health support. Like they're supposed to have mental health services. Hey,
Hey,
Hey.
buddy.
oh,
Hey,
he looks
man.
so worried. Oh no.
Hey. All right,
That's
buddy.
that's what matters right there. But there you go.
That's right.
Well, and Carly, first of all, you speak very eloquently. Like I love how you understand that there's a lot more to the medicine, or more than medicine, when it comes to finding a job and finding a good fit. So I think that's important too. And I also don't want to make people feel like, oh, so you're saying I have to have like these solid values written out so I can hand to a potential employer. That's something that you just along the lines of finding what career, or and a career is, it's a long thing, right? Like it's I differentiate between a job and a career, right? So a
Mhm.
career is this long, evolving, growing thing, just like you are an evolving, growing human being. And so you start off, and this was mentioned too, you can start with one place. Yes, do your due diligence. We can help prepare you on interview skills and things to ask and things to look for. And yes, I love experiences. I did so many different experiences, even during vet school, that helped me change my mind. Going into vet school, I wanted to do one thing, and I came out of vet school completely different path, right? So that's super
Mhm.
important to get those experiences. But and that's it. It's you try one thing, you learn what you like, and you lean more into it. And you notice what you don't like, and you try to lean away from it. That it was one of the, I've heard a couple people say it that way, but so it's you're learning yourself, and you have to understand that aspect of it too. But it's this constant curiosity of yourself, and finding that maybe fun. Like, I'm getting to know
Mhm.
myself, I'm getting to know my interests. And oh, by the way, what you're interested in today could change. And that's okay too. It's a constant process of checking in with yourself. How am I doing? What do I like? Do I need something? And
Mhm.
then I think the second thing that, and you talked about, feeling that you belong in a place, but having a good handful of people that you feel that you could go to for different things, and being able to have that ability to build these very strong relationships with other people. And again, I think diverse types of relationships, like your significant other, your, a mentor at work, somebody outside of work. I love, my masterminds outside of different things, because these are different safe environments that we can come and share our wins and our challenges, and support each other in that. And I think that's it, is, coming back around to talking about the short term fixes that we think could be long term. The way I didn't go to alcohol, but I'm a huge suppressor, right? It's like, just suppress it down, and just keep moving forward, and then it all comes out somehow later, or that frustration and the things. But when you can communicate, and you have these people that you can talk to, that helps you, one, not suppress, because that doesn't help, you're just going to explode later. And two, it helps you kind of verbalize and figure it out. You're getting feedback, hearing yourself kind of talk it out and think it out. And I think that helps you evolve and find that path that works for you.
And I
Yeah,
think, Megan, you
community.
you made a point earlier on that was very interesting, where people feel stuck, right? And you've talked to so many people that have probably felt stuck and then find a way out of that being stuck. And I don't know, like, I would like everybody to maybe, you know, kind of contribute to this part, where once you realized you didn't want to be where you were at, how do you work? What steps did you take into getting out of there? Because I know a lot of people feel like, well, what am I gonna do? I'm gonna be out of work. What work am I gonna find? How am I gonna interview? Like, do you have any good examples, Megan, of people that were kind of stuck, and how did they find a way out, or once they found out like this is not for me, I want to do something else, what steps did they take to get there?
Yeah. First of all, every single episode of the podcast has an example. So
Awesome.
just know this is completely normal to realize. I think maybe there's a few that just magically found their perfect place. But even then, they start to, again, they evolve interests, right? And they start to figure out something new to add on. And so really, again, part of it goes back to the stopping, feeling, what do I like, what do I not like? And the one big piece of advice I tell people is if you are feeling burnt out or stuck, it's really important to stop and assess, because one of the worst things I think people can do is make quick decisions when you are completely burnt out. Because again, you're just going to take all of that with you.
You're just gonna
You're
blow
not
up.
going to
Emotional
make
and
the
Yeah.
best
reactive
decision
and
going
Mhm.
forward. So often I say start small. What are some few things that one you can do to take care of yourself, and start again assessing, what do I like, what do I not? What's one thing that maybe I can start to do that explores something different? And so that's really it. It's people start doing something a little bit new. Maybe they'll volunteer here, and maybe they'll try out go to a CE, a new types of CE about something that they're interested in. And the other thing is talk to people, because what I have found is when you start doing these new things and you start meeting people, the combination of exploring things and networking, I know some people hate that word. Building relationships is basically what it is, but networking and building these relationships, combination of those things starts to help you find these things that are opportunities that fit what you're interested in, help you overcome whatever, what's causing the burnout, all of those things. So that those are a few pieces of advice that can start getting you in the right direction.
And
Awesome.
I don't think it has to all be in vet med either, right?
Mm-mm,
Like,
no.
It's huge.
I don't do it anymore, but for 5-6 years I was working at the YMCA part-time teaching a rowing class, right? Like a spin class, but on the rowing machines, right? Like I rowed in college, so I taught a rowing class. That job was great. I had so much fun. It was only 5 hours a week, but it was a blast. And it was years of doing that before anybody there knew I was a veterinarian, right? Like it was fantastic. And did it pay a lot? No. Did it? I mean, like they covered my gym membership. Great. That was it. But
Do you use it?
Man, you're working out
I
at the YMCA. How old
yeah.
are you?
Oh yeah. No, really. You know what I like about the YMCA? I will defend it to the day I die, because it is like wired, like it is people of all ages. It is people younger than Dr. Hawley's son. It is people who are astonishingly old. It is
I can
everybody in
barely
between.
walk.
Like it
Yeah,
is
they
the
like
most-
you know.
it is
Oh, man.
ethnically diverse. It is demographically diverse. Like I love the YMCA because, and
All
like,
kinds in there.
yeah, it's great.
There's some
And I
really fancy ones too. I've
Yeah,
seen
that's
some
not where
fancy
I go.
YMCA's.
Really?
Oh yeah, like
Huh.
they had spas and fancy classes. I was like,
No
oh my
way.
word. So
That's
depending on
awesome.
where you are.
Yeah, but like,
I heard they have
it was
I heard they have an
other
Indian, they have a policeman, they have a fireman. No, I'm kidding.
Oh,
That's supposed to be a joke.
I got
Anyway,
it. I got it, John. I got it. That was a
thank
good one.
you. Cool.
Yeah.
You thought the
Thank you.
YMCA was
At
dating
first,
us,
I was
and then you
like,
make that
"What
joke.
are you talking about?"
Yeah. Hey, welcome to my brain. Sammy, do you ever feel stuck at a job?
Oh my God, yeah. I think I've made so many career transitions at this stage in my career. I've had my hands in a little bit of everything. And it took me a while, I think, after I burned out to sort of find my path. And I had to go through a lot of iterations to find that and find my voice and honestly find myself again, because I had a really severe burnout where I couldn't work for about a year. And so you just got to keep trying. And I think like what Megan said as well, you just have to talk to people. Everything is who you know and how you make them feel. And your network, again, it's a word not everybody likes, but it is the most important thing for sure.
What about you, Bill? Do you ever feel stuck at a job, or you? I don't think you have
Well,
that personality. You probably were like,
no,
I'm
no, no,
bouncing,
no.
bro.
Yeah, but I can't now, right? Like I own
Oh
a
yeah,
practice, right? Like I am financially tied to this place and like this physical spot.
but you
So
feel that way? Like, do you feel stuck, or you finally found what makes you like feel
I
good, right?
I
Like,
think
cause
there's about on a good week there's about 20 minutes where I am like utterly depressed that I am stuck here and I can't take another job somewhere else. And the
and
other
how do you deal with
167
that?
hours. Yeah, you know it passes for one thing. You also know I
Uh
can't
huh.
change. But
Uh huh.
I can't change the job, so I change the nature of the job, right? Like I start writing or I do podcasts or I make friends or start fights on the internet with LinkedIn, right? Like I I
That you're good
I
at. I can,
I
I'm a
yeah,
witness.
I thanks. But I think that kind of stuff like it doesn't have to stay the same. And if you don't like it, change it. Like there's, the upside to being in charge, the downside to being in charge is you can't leave. The upside is you can change it. So if you're like, man, this sucks, like, okay, pivot, change direction, add something. Like there's a 3D printer in my office, right? Like I don't know how many veterinary hospitals have a 3D printer in here, but I thought it was cool. We got one, my stepson one for Christmas, and I was like, wow, this is dope. And so I put one in at work. I bought one and put it in at work. It's a couple $100. It's not a very good one, but it works. And like I taught my staff how to use it, and they printed like um organizers and stuff for the whole damn hospital, like all the and that kind of like learning and excitement and delighting in something new and like is that what you should do? I don't know, maybe, but
But
it
it
was really
helped.
fun for us and it was something different
Uh-huh.
and they still use it all the time. um so I think it's like, do I feel stuck and like am I committed to this? Yeah. And is it all sunshine and rainbows? No, but it's not like I didn't expect like if it's supposed to be 100% happiness, like good luck finding that gig. Let me know. I'll send a resume. We'll compete for it. But like, I think this job works for me because having control over the outcome makes me happier about the outcome, even when it's bad. Like makes the experience a lot better. And that's not for everybody, right? Like some people think of that and they're like, wow, that sounds so much worse. But it works for me. And like it gives me the freedom and the flexibility to practice the way I want to practice. And when it's not working or something changes, it changes all the time, right? Like some students go to school or somebody gets a job somewhere else, or like we talked about, one of the guys who works for me is a National Guardsman and is stationed in DC and now he's gone until December. Like bummer. But you find a way, right? Like if it sucks, change it, fix it, do something about it. And that doesn't necessarily mean, to go back what Megan and Sammy were saying, that you have to nuke it. Like you don't have to blow it to smithereens and never do it again. Like you can do less of it, or you can change it, or you can take a year off and come back to it, or you can get your diplomate and start a podcast, or you can start an organization or join the VBMA or whatever. Like there's all kinds of ways to enjoy what you're doing. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't like be a good veterinarian, but you don't. That's not all you have to be.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
there's a saying about like flowering where you're planted, right? Like kind of like, I leaned back on that a little too hard, and I just tried to thrive in an environment that I knew wasn't for me. But I feel like there's some occasions where you don't have to leave, or you don't have to do anything like crazy. Just maybe find ways to find boundaries where you're at, right? Or talk to the people at your job first. Like tell them how you feel. Like, hey, I'm feeling this way.
yeah,
I think Sammy mentioned that, like where, or Megan, where you have to take time to think about things. Don't be like knee jerk reactions on how you feel in the moment. So,
And
I myself,
the right decision at the time doesn't mean it's the right decision forever, right? Like if you're a couple years into something, or you're a year into something, you're like, well, like don't beat yourself up. Like Harley mentioned, like a lot of students will feel like a failure if you're like, oh, we didn't get it right. It's like like you did the best you could with the information at the time, and a year later you've got different information, the different situation. Like, don't rag on it. Like, just do the things.
So
I really
like
wish
like
that
go ahead, Sammy.
I really wish that vets felt more empowered in creating the career of their dreams, because your career really is such a freestyle. You can do whatever you want, and the world is full of people that are creating new things and forging new paths based on what's most authentic to them. And I think when we first get out of vet school, you only have a very small vision of what the path can be. And if you just took some time to, I don't know, play paddle, start rowing in the gym, I don't know, make some friends outside
You've
of
hit
vet
a
med,
home run.
and build a more holistically fulfilling life, you would find that you would bring more authenticity into your career and create a more balanced career as well.
And I think
That's a
to
good
kind of
point.
add to
Yeah.
that too, the one thing that I would say about all the tools and the strategies that I've learned and discovered is that, we're humans first as veterinary professionals, right? You're a human, but and we're wearing the hat of a veterinary professional. We're investing more into the hat than we are into the actual core of who we are, the thing that's wearing the hat.
Yeah.
And so what
Yeah.
I discovered is personal development. Those are the two words that'll probably lead people to everything that we're actually talking about. Going into and discovering other things, discovering the empowerment. Like if you look behind me, I've got like 180 books on this bookshelf right here. I listen to podcasts like all the time when I'm on the road doing my relief shifts and things like that. I'm listening to educational, empowering, motivational, and inspirational material. And when you start to take that path of personal development, you're going to discover like just the world outside of just like clinical veterinary stuff. Like I didn't realize that there's two parts to being a successful veterinarian and veterinary professional, right? When I first graduated from veterinary school, I had that clinical part down packed, right? I could do the diagnoses, the treatment, the preventatives, all that stuff. But I didn't realize that the other half of that equation to being successful are the non-clinical things. And when I
Yep.
started to go on this journey of learning the non-clinicals, like I mentioned earlier, that it was the motivational speakers, the people in business, the athletes, listen to people like Kobe Bryant and and everyone else, Novak Djokovic and Serena. It doesn't matter who it is. I'm a huge tennis fan, if you can't tell. But when you start to apply those things and extrapolate it from the business world and from the personal development world and from the sports world, and you apply it to your life as a veterinary professional, like everything just opens up. And veterinary medicine becomes this arena for getting really good at life and just discovering things. And so if I was an individual and I was feeling stuck, I would listen to Megan's podcast. Like every episode drop, I would listen to that. I would listen to the Diary of a CEO. I would listen to Jay Shetty's, On Purpose podcast. I would
Can I interrupt and ask for book recommendations? Like I read maniacally, right? Like almost like it's my addiction. So what are your favorites?
Yeah.
What are your favorites?
So my favorite book of all time, I quote it in every single presentation, is The Science of Being Great by Wallace Wattles.
Okay.
And no
Ooh.
one's ever heard of it. So he wrote this trilogy of books. The first one's called like The Science of Getting Rich. The second one, The Science of Being Great, and the third was The Science of Being Well. But I love those books. I love Think and Grow Rich, and any book on sales is great. A lot of these books back here are on sales because the ability to articulate value is going to help you in your veterinary career. Number one, you're going to treat more things. You're going to like sell more preventatives and more treatments and diagnostics.
Better medicine. Yeah.
Better medicine, right? Better outcomes, better client compliance, better team member interactions, because you understand how to articulate value to your team members, clients, all that jazz. And if you want to go do something like start a podcast, right? One thing that I learned from Wallace Wattles in The Science of Getting Rich is that you always need to provide more in use value than you're asking for in cash value, right?
Yes.
So everything I'm doing with Get Motivated, always have that at like the forefront. Whatever I'm asking them for in money, I need to give them 10x that in value. If you go to listen to Megan's podcast, it probably doesn't cost you a dime. So she's giving you more in use value than she's asking for in cash value because it's free, right? And so,
Speaking of which, I just checked. The Wallace Waddle book is 99 cents on Kindle.
and you and look,
That's got to be a
Value.
I got to get
Value.
$10 out of that.
There you
you find it
go.
on
Sold it,
YouTube.
like I got it.
You can find it on YouTube University for free. Somebody will read it
Yeah.
to you for free on YouTube. Just type in the science of being great there. But two principles from that book were key in teaching me perspective, which really helped me to just like get better instead of bitter from the challenges that I'm facing in life and in veterinary medicine, and to find opportunity in any chaos that I'm facing. So if I have a chaotic day at the vet hospital, there's opportunity in that to help next week's day to be a little less stressful. And so, and when
They're
you
usually
start
very lucrative days too.
exactly,
Yeah,
they're very lucrative days.
Yeah.
And if it's an absolutely horrible day, you could be grateful that you probably won't have a day like that, in the next 30, 60, 90 days, maybe 365 if it's that bad. So there's just so many different ways to reframe it. But personal development is that thing that's going to allow you to figure out all the stuff because you're investing in yourself. And when you do that, you're going to, Megan knows, like John, everybody knows, Sammy knows. I see her over there. Like we all know this, but you don't know it coming out of vet school. You don't know it in vet school. You don't know it for the first three years after you graduate from vet school. And that's how you end up where I was, right? Just like
you
miserable.
might know it at the time, but you don't know it forever, right? Like at that point, you know it, and you might be right in 2017, but by 2022, you're like, no, it's not true anymore.
Yeah.
So what's next on the reading list? What's coming up?
For me?
Yeah, you have a next one. What are you reading?
What's on your nightstand right now?
Like what are you reading now?
I just downloaded a book the other day off of on Audible. So I do a lot of like reading with the actual books, but I like Amazon's Audible. And the book that I just downloaded is let's see here. I'm gonna pull it up for you because I forgot the name of it. But so one is called it's by Mo Gaudat, but it's called Solve for Happy. And that's a really good one that I'm going through right now.
Nice.
I really liked what you said, Quincy, about get better, not bitter, because I feel like we have a lot of problems in vet med. We're all aware, and we talk about them a lot, especially like us writers. Bill and I are not afraid to talk about problems on LinkedIn. We share very openly. And I find that a lot of people, oh, thank you. A lot of people in the veterinary profession have become quite bitter. And you can sort of get in these echo chambers online where everybody's only talking about the problems in vet med and how bad it is, and burnout and suicide and debt. And
I've been banned.
It's true. But how do you control your mindset? Because I feel like when I came out of vet school, I was much more optimistic than I am now. And everybody says that, with age or, you get a little bit jaded, but I don't believe in that. I think you can control your mindset. And it seems like you've done a really good job of doing that, Quincy. So how have you cultivated a mindset that's allowed you to be resilient and prevent burnout and stay positive and optimistic in the field?
So I have this process I talk about all the time. It's just two of them in conjunction with each other. It's called MIPEE immersion. And so it stands for motivational, inspirational, positivity, empowering, and educational immersion. You just immerse yourself in this. And so, for example, when I was a new grad, during my lunch breaks and on the way to work, on the way home, I would listen to like garbage, toxic talk radio. That's what you're doing, right? You're just sitting in the car for an hour.
Mind-numbing.
On your lunch break, just listening to some talk radio that doesn't add any value to your life. If anything, it makes you more toxic. And so I just simply flip that to listening to Steve Jobs and all the different people that you know of who are successful, Oprah, back in the early days, listening to audiobooks, listening to podcasts that are actually helpful and beneficial. And so you combine that with the process called stacking that I discovered and created back in 2018. And that stands for simultaneously taking action and consuming knowledge. Stack. Simultaneously taking action and consuming knowledge. So during my lunch breaks, I would go and I would run up and down this hill that was like 3 minutes away on a soccer field in Fayetteville, North Carolina. And I would be listening to stuff on financial literacy. I'd be listening to stuff about starting your own business and entrepreneurship and about well-being and about burnout and things like that, right? And so I'm getting smarter, I'm losing weight, and I'm getting away from the hospital. I'm getting some fresh air. So I'm doing like 4 things in an hour that I used to just get more toxic and jaded, right? And then I learned from Earl Nightingale. He's the Dean of Personal Development. He said, if you take 1 hour a day and multiply that times 365 days, that equals 365 hours. Divide that by 40, the number of hours in a work week, and that equals 9 full 40-hour work weeks worth of time. If you just take an hour a day and apply it to something you want to overcome, like a challenge or something that you want to get better at, right? And so that's, if you just the 30 minutes on the way to work and 30 minutes on the way back home, that's that hour right there. I'm not even doing it anything differently. I'm not taking out an extra hour of my day and sitting down with the book and turning pages, right? But I just got 40 hours or 9 full 40-hour work weeks worth of time. And I found a way to find 9 of those 9 hours a day, right? That requires me to wake up a little bit early. But even if you don't wake up early, there's a way I found to find 6 hours, which is that's a lot of 54 full 40-hour work weeks worth of time. And if you really sit down and think about that, that's how you're learning all this stuff. That's how you're building up your mindset with each book that you read, with each podcast that you listen to. And it's through the stacking process as well, right?
Yeah.
So I'm doing laundry, I'm taking a walk in the park, I'm driving in the car, I'm on a plane on the way to VMX or the AVMA, right? I have my headphones in, and I'm just getting smarter. And so that's like the 2 processes that I use to do that.
And it feels better too, right? Like you didn't listen to, like if I listened to Philly sports radio, which is where I'm from, like the sky is always falling. Like right? Like
well, look at the Sixers. It is falling.
The Super Bowl, and the next day they're like, man,
no good.
That was a tough game.
Well, that's so relevant. I want to say for Gen Z. Okay, I'm 24. My entire teenage and young adulthood has been in a very volatile climate, whether you want to talk about politics or any other topic. And it is so easy for me to, fall into that algorithm of recommended crime documentaries or drama. I mean, full transparency, all summer I was watching those videos, and it was not great. And that was what was recommended for me. So if people like you just being here on this podcast and telling people, like, stay curious, that is what we need to hear as Gen Z. Like, recognize, hey, maybe the patterns I'm falling into might not be great in the long term. Inspiring that curiosity, just giving those book recommendations, that's what gets me excited. But as the years go on, as the Gen Zs get younger, we go into Gen Alpha, I think that message will be more important than ever.
Interesting.
Yeah,
since we have you on this.
Go
ahead, Doc.
I just want to add one thing really quickly. Somebody said that the algorithm is you, right? So like when I go to YouTube, it's all good, positive stuff. It's all like motivational, inspirational business. That's only the recommendations that I'm getting, because
and Miss
that's
Rachel.
the stuff that it.
And Miss Rachel.
I get a lot of I get
Coco Melon.
What's up, Miss Rachel, for sure. So, but as you start to
she had a career change. It's Rachel. Sorry, I had to. Sorry, my bad.
As you start to go down this path, like YouTube is gonna feed you more of the good stuff, right? And so it just does. And like now I'm getting a lot of how AI is gonna destroy the world because it's somehow entertaining to listen to that. It's super entertaining. Like AI's taking over.
I think that's a really good point. Like the last few weeks, I've been out of social media because I'm tired of the stress and the tension. And what we realize is that we create our own little space and our environment in social media. We create what we're seeing by following what we want to follow. So, like, if you want more positivity in your phone, you need to create that yourself. The algorithm is
Seek it
just going to
out.
throw stuff at you. Yep, it's gonna throw stuff at you all day long about what they want you to read, what they want you to hear, or whoever they is, whatever. So you have a chance to create the social media that you want to read, and that's really, what you guys are saying. But just eliminate what you don't want to see, and then reach out to things that provide positivity in your life. I myself felt stuck. The job I had before, the one I have now, I reached out to a coach. I reached out to a veterinarian that had a career change from clinical to coaching. And I just didn't know how to do it. And in my personal experience, I wanted a veterinarian coaching me because I felt like they related to me more. So I reached out to Theresa Francis, and that is what got the ball rolling for me out of that being stuck. Just having somebody to talk to, an outside perspective. And she's wonderful, but taking the step of reaching out to a person, that is the hard part. That's the part I didn't want to do. I was like,
Definitely.
I can do this myself. I'm not reaching out. And then eventually, like you said, Quincy, we were having trouble at home. It's like someone needs to change here. Let me find somebody that knows what they're doing and has had changes. And so coaches are also an option. I wanted to put it that out there as well. And we're getting close to the hour. We're past the hour, but we can talk a little bit more. If you guys need to go, you're welcome to.
I think he has a question from Megan.
Yeah, go ahead.
So Megan, with the podcast, like number one, what was your major inspiration to want to do the podcast? And then I've seen a lot of podcasts like come and go. Like they have 20 episodes like mine, and then they just kind of disappear off the face of the planet. Like, what's the role of like discipline to be able to consistently achieve something? Because a lot of people might listen to this and they'll look at it, me and you and John, and they'll say, and Bill, they'll say, I want to be an entrepreneur, right? I want to create something. Can you talk about like the importance of like consistency and discipline, and maybe even like the role of, this is a big question now, but like how to be confident in yourself, even if other people, regardless of what other people may think about what it is that you're doing. You know what I'm saying? Because, like, yeah.
Yeah, that is a lot. I think we can have a whole nother podcast episode with that question. But I'm going to start by the beginning of your question and that inspiration. And I did talk about, I was inspired because I had these veterinary professionals that were coming to me and I was seeing a potential gap. But actually, a big part of why I started a podcast specifically was I did the same thing you did. I started getting into personal development. It started with books. And then once I discovered podcasts, which were also probably around pandemic time, I just went hog wild. I was listening to so many different things. And so I fell in love with the platform of podcasting because it made a difference in my life. Being able to have such easy access that was pretty easy to implement in my day, right? Like the good thing about podcasting is, veterinarians, professional multitaskers, right? So I can have a podcast in while I'm driving, I'm washing dishes, all of these things. As I'm getting ready for my morning, as I listen to podcasts, I choose to start my day very intentionally with what I'm putting in. So I fell in love with the platform and I knew that it could have an impact. And you're right, 3.5 years of a weekly podcast, never missing a week. This is despite multiple career changes, multiple physical moves, having a baby. I'm right there with you. My baby's about to turn a year on Friday.
No.
So, so I'm not going to say it is easy, right? It is
Right.
a lot of hard work. There is consistency. What I think does it for me, because there's a lot of times, especially when you start, that you're like, why am I doing this? I have,
Mhm.
5 subscribers on YouTube. Maybe one person is listening to this, but it's just that one, because podcast told me this, that consistency was important, and I believed them, so I kept going. And as you go, you will constantly, and it won't be every day, it will not be every week, but you'll get that one person that comes up to you at a conference, that sends you a message on LinkedIn that says, you're listening to your podcast makes me feel not alone. I appreciate your podcast because it helps me get to know other people in my profession and know what's possible. Like those little nuggets. And on top of it, because of what I do, which is talking with people all the time, I'm interviewing them, I'm getting to know their full stories, and like relationship
There's a
building.
personal reward there
It
too.
is. I'm
Yeah, it's
getting
fun. Yeah.
personal reward there, but I also see the reward. And again, for me, after 3.5 years, I can actually say that the job I have today, which I feel like I am in my place, my zone of genius. I'm having so much fun in what I'm doing today, which is startup entrepreneur crazy, right? It fits me, is because of my podcast. Because of my podcast, I got to know an executive recruiter who also had a podcast. We built a relationship. We stayed in touch over time. When this job came up, she thought of me. That would not have happened had I not been consistent, had I not been doing the work, going to the places, building the relationships, all of the things. Life takes time. Life means putting in these little reps over time. And, this has come up a couple of times in conversation, is that, luck is, you have to meet luck. You have to, often it's you putting in these little pieces of work over time and luck finds you, but it's because you showed up. You have to show up for these
Exactly.
opportunities to come up.
And the times where you feel like you're alone and nobody's listening, and that those are the times that you have to fight the hardest.
Mhm.
And you have to be like, you have to have the most drive to do it, right? And the times that's when the podcasts fall down, like you said, Dr. Hawley. It's those times where you're like, dude, this is not working out. That's when you need to be like, okay, I like what I do, I like doing this, I'm gonna keep doing it, and eventually something great is gonna happen.
And can I want to say two things about Megan's podcast. One, well, first, happy birthday, Abigail.
Yeah.
But one, you're the most astonishingly consistent creative content producer I've ever seen. Right? Like the fact that it's just you doing this is unbelievable. Like people who have whole teams aren't this consistent in the production and the quality and everything else. And I think the other thing I want to say is I think you're underselling the fact that you have definitely gotten better at podcasting. Like the interviews are so refined, and not that they were bad, right? Like they're ever improving, right? Like they were good and now they're amazing. And I think when you're putting in like the weekly reps, you might not see it, but if you listen, like I don't listen to your podcast in order, I'm sorry, but like if you listen to one from 2 years ago and then listen to last week's, it's like, wow, like the one from last week, man, this is like, 3 years ago you might have sounded like a veterinarian doing a podcast. Like this week, you're Terry Gross, right? Like you've really gotten so incredibly good at this.
Yeah,
And like
for sure.
Sammy and I write, and Sammy's much more consistent and productive about writing than I am. But like, I cannot produce at the relative level that you do, like weekly like that. Like it's just not there for me that way. So it is really impressive that you can produce that way. And like and
Monotonous
to-
consistency.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
But like it,
yeah,
like
yeah.
in the monotonous consistency, find improvement as you go, right?
Yeah,
and
yeah.
keep it
That's really
interesting.
amazing.
You know, like
Yeah, you know what I
keeping
mean?
it
Like it's
interesting.
getting more
It's
refined and polished and
Mhm.
sharper and better and but also um to do it over time is like, man, that is really cool to see. It has really been we've known each other for a couple of years now. It's been really fun to see you just like do this ever and ever better.
Well, thank you.
You're
And
welcome.
I want to bring that back to everyone in that that's life, right? It
Yeah.
is I think you
You're doing
put
it
your
right.
reps in at life, whether it's, going to the clinic, you're constantly growing, you're learning, you're putting in the reps every single day. And that's to me, it's the fun part, right? It's like you're watching
Yep.
yourself grow. You're watching
Mhm.
yourself get better at different things, start to learn what you like and get better in those things. And I think again that can be applied over time. So hopefully, Carly, maybe that's helpful too, going out there too and not being overly intimidated. I mean, you're still going to be intimidated. It's scary, right? Like it's change. It's a big step and you guys are doing awesome. But that's it. It really is. It's over time you're putting in the reps and you start to grow as a human being, and that's when it all comes together.
Well, we always feel like it's too short, man. Like, look, it's an hour and 10. I want to respect your times. I know we're all like pretty busy people, and this has been an awesome talk. I wish we had another hour. But I wanted to see if anyone had final thoughts. I never like stopping the conversation without making sure everybody has hit the points they want to hit. So, anybody, want to talk about it anymore or
My
anything
final
else?
thought is a quote that I kind of came up with a few years back, and it's that veterinary burnout, it is real, but it doesn't have to be your personal reality, right? And the system of veterinary medicine probably isn't going to change very much over the next like few years, maybe even ever, right? There are always going to be challenges, and so the better you can become at navigating those challenges, the better your overall experience is going to be with life and veterinary medicine. Again, I said it before, like wherever you go, there you are. So put a lot into yourself, so that way you can navigate challenges confidently and competently. That's it.
And for me, it's like listen to yourself, listen to the people that love you. Sometimes it takes a little bit of outside perspective to find out that you're changing or you're not happy. It's not always going to come from yourself. So reach out to your support system. And then, once you realize that maybe something needs to change, then, like Sammy said, reach out to other people, talk about it with other people. And, there's always options in veterinary medicine. And hearing, Megan's podcast, you have to listen to that if you're in that position, and maybe listen to other people's stories, and you'll probably feel like you can relate to somebody else's story, and you're not alone. We've all been there. So
When I'm writing and I can't find it, you can't find that zone of genius, you can't find that swing. I've written enough to know that it's there. I just have to keep digging. And if you're looking for that thing, like what is it going to be? I can't find it. It's like, keep going. It's there.
Yeah.
That other thing, that pivot, that addition, that extra thing that you're looking for, like it's there. Just keep digging. Like maybe you change up how you're digging, maybe you change up where you're digging, but like keep going. Don't despair.
And then from our side, if we can help one person, that's all we want to know, right, Bill? Like if the one person hears this conversation and they're like, huh, and then something good comes from that, we've done our job.
Definitely.
And you have, because I'm here
Ah,
It
that's
means
so
a
nice.
lot to hear
Aw.
from you guys.
Thank you.
My final thoughts are what I've definitely learned from today's topic is curiosity, I think, breeds empowerment. And if you all just, any other veterinarian or non-student listening to this conversation, if you can inspire a student to stay curious and say, hey, stop wallowing in your, your self-pity of vet school and exams and just do something you love and stay curious, I think that will make a big difference. It will.
And like Dr. Hawley said, like take care of what's wearing the hat. Don't take care of just the hat. You can have the prettiest hat in the world. I love that analogy. You can have the best hat. You know, an Amiri $4,000 hat, but if what's wearing it is crumbling, that hat is not gonna get anywhere. It's just gonna fall right down on the floor. So, you know, that's a really good analogy. And I think this was an awesome talk. I don't want to take more of your time. I feel terrible. But I really wish we had more time. And I want to segue. Next month, we're going to talk about burnout a lot more. So I think Andy Rourke will be joining us with Dr. Sammy also. And we're going to segue this conversation into burnout. And I'm so glad you came, Dr. Hawley and Megan. Thanks for being here. And Carly, of course, you know, I like your perspective and you give me hope.
She's the future.
She's the future. Yeah, man. And I think what you're doing is great with bringing positivity to your group as well in school. So thanks again, everybody. You know, thanks for watching. We'll be here next month as well. I appreciate you listening and please spread this conversation, especially if you hear somebody that might be not doing very well. If they need ideas, you know, that's the whole point we're doing this podcast. It's fun for us, but we really want to reach out and help people out. I think we all have that common purpose. And, you know, thank you for giving us a chance to have these conversations and listen to us. And I love doing this. And I hope you guys are all well. And, you know, stay positive. I'll see you all later.
Awesome. See
Thank
you
you.
guys.
See ya.
All right. Okay. It always delays on the ending. Can you guys hear me? Everybody there?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Quincy? Okay.
Yeah.
It always takes a while before it ends the streaming. That's why I do like a awkward silence at the end.
It's still